All right, YouTube, what up? So today we're going to talk about tattoo shows, conventions, expos, whatever you want to call them. I have 3 pros and I have 3 cons, and then a few bonus tips at the end. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of alternate back and forth. So I'm going to say a pro, explain it, say a con, explain it. You get what I'm saying. Let's get into it. It's crazy because the more you progress in an industry or a skill set or whatever it is, you almost forget about the things that you struggle with that you used to swear you will never understand. And that just goes to prove, even though like right now you might be feeling like, bro, I'll never understand how to line or shade, or this is what I struggle with and I can't really get over this and I don't think I'll ever understand this. You will, bro. It just takes time. It takes patience. Just embrace the journey and just keep rocking, bro. Because one of these days, bro, it's gonna click, and then you're never gonna be able to unsee it.
I've had the best tattoo experience with you that I've ever had with anybody else.
Bro, that's beautiful stuff. Yeah, that's sick, dog. It's a wrap on that project, man. For real.
Okay, so the first pro I would say is networking and seminars. I think a great thing that can happen at conventions or shows is the opportunity to network with other artists or whatever it is, right? And one of those ways could be through a seminar. So a lot of expos will have artists who come in and do seminars. So they might be like a color realism artist and they're really good and known for that style or whatever it is. And they'll have them come in and do like a 1-day seminar or maybe even a 2-day seminar during that show. So usually shows are like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they'll have kind of one seminar on Friday, one seminar with maybe a different artist doing a different style or technique or whatever it is on Saturday, so on and so forth. So I think those are great ways. Also, even if you don't partake in seminars, just going from booth to booth, there's amazing artists. Usually at good expos, there's really good artists. So some artists you might have seen maybe on like an Ink Master show or on Black Ink, or maybe they're just well-known artists or whatever it is, right? Maybe people you've been following for a while that maybe you might not have thought you'd ever get a chance to meet or ask questions. Usually they'll be at some of these booths. So it's a cool way to kind of go up to people's booths. Most people are usually pretty cool about things. If you ask questions, see them tattoo, watch them tattoo firsthand. So from that aspect, I think it's pretty cool. I've gotten to meet a lot of artists that I never probably would have met if it wasn't for a tattoo show or an expo that I went to. So yeah, I think it's a good way to kind of chop it up with these people. And like I said, hopefully they're pretty cool and they answer questions or just talk to you about different things. And it's a cool way to just network and get more information, learn. Because like I always say, you're always learning. No matter where you're at in your game, no matter who the artist is, like, you're always learning. It's always cool for me, like from my opinion, when I see other artists or get to talk to them, and everyone does things so differently. You know what I mean? Even if like I do large scale black and gray, and I talk to another artist who does large scale black and gray, and I'll talk to them and we'll do things completely different, from our drop systems to the needles we use to machines to how we view images and how we design, to stenciling, to the types of inks we use. Like everything can be completely different, even though we're doing the same style, right? So that part is pretty cool. Yeah, I would say networking. And then if you get a chance to kind of partake in some of those seminars, I've never personally went to a seminar or whatever, because the only downside I see with it and why I never really took advantage of them was because they happened during the convention. So even though some of them may be shorter, like 2 or 3 hours, to me, it's like I'm there to either tattoo or network in the convention, or be there for people that walk up, people that, you know, talk, want to network, say what's up, whatever it is. That's what I'm kind of there for, especially if I'm tattooing like all 3 days. I'm there to tattoo, you know, so it's kind of hard to take a break for 3-4 hours, go to a seminar, and then come back. But like I said, those are two cool things about tattoo shows and conventions. So a con now, number one to me is cost. Some of these conventions, expos, bro, they can cost a lot, especially if you're going out of state, across the country, out to another country, like whatever it is. Even the ones in your own state, they can still cost a good amount. You know, if you're not working with a brand or you're not sponsored under a company that's like getting you the booth, taking care of everything for you, they can cost a lot. You know what I mean? Like if you go to a convention, they can cost anywhere from $800 to up to, I've heard, maybe $1,200 a booth, you know. Then that's not including if you get a hotel down there. That's not including travel, like I said, if you're going out of state or out of country, all that, food, everything else that comes with that. And like I said, even the ones in state, they'll still they'll still cost you probably, in a weekend, let's say a booth is $800, right? That's kind of like the average. Let's say it's $800, and then let's say you don't even stay at a hotel. Let's say you just go back and forth, right? Depending where you live, gas, all that kind of stuff. Let's say that's another $100 or something, right? Or $50 to $100 in gas because you're going there and back 3 times, again, depending where you live. And then food for that weekend, you're eating out, you're eating at the, food they have there, whatever. Maybe you forgot some materials, so you have to buy a few things at the convention. You got to pay for parking. Let's say that's not included. Like you're easily at $1,000 already, like if not more, just for 3 days. So that's where the other part of it comes in, is that like I think you should be very intentional if you do go to these tattoo conventions or shows. Like I said, especially if you're not a sponsored artist, if you're not, you got to come out of pocket for everything like this, like have a rhyme or reason for why you're doing it. If you're going there to just take walk-ups, like anyone who comes into the show, you're there trying to tattoo pretty much all day, anything, everything, trying to make as much possible money as you can. That's one way to do it. The second way is if you book out that weekend. So you try and like get people to book for that weekend, and then kind of like what you're going to make, then it makes sense. Are you going there just as like a marketing expense? Like, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000, but hopefully I get that many more people, eyes on my brand, on what I do, my work, my art, whatever it is, right? So have a rhyme or reason, because the last thing you want is to go there and kind of be in between where you don't know if you're tattooing walk-ups, if you're booking somebody, if somebody asks and they're kind of like window shopping, but then they go to another artist down, just down the hall at another booth. All these different things come into play, and potentially you could be pretty much out $1,000 without a clear plan of like what you want out of that convention, which is a lot of money to just kind of be out, and especially if you're doing a lot of these per year. If you're doing, let's say, even 3 conventions a year or 4 conventions a year, 1 per quarter, so 1 every 3 months or whatever it is. I mean, that's $4,000, on the cheapest, lowest end. I would say cost definitely comes into play as maybe like a con. The second pro I would say is potentially new clientele. So the idea of these conventions is a really good idea and concept that you could potentially really benefit from, because hopefully if the convention or show does the marketing correctly, you will potentially have a bunch of people who are there that like tattoos, that already have tattoos, that have ideas of what they want. They're just looking for an artist, and that's kind of your opportunity to shine and to get more new eyeballs that is specifically people who want tattoos, right? Again, that's like not to get too deep in the weeds of like marketing and key, terms of marketing, but that is your targeted audience. It's people who want tattoos, who like tattoos, who have tattoos, who are looking for, who are there to see tattoo artists. So that can be a huge, great benefit to being able to network with new clientele, show your work. Usually you have your photos spread out on your table, pictures, videos of your work, whatever it is, however you set your booth up. The better you set up your booth, the more you can kind of differentiate yourself from the next booth and all the other artists who are there, the better. It gives you a chance to kind of be like personable with people, talk to them more, do pretty much in-person consultations, like that whole weekend with people, whether they book that weekend or you book them out, so it's a good opportunity to meet new clientele and to have new clientele meet you. So yeah, that is potentially a great pro. The second con to me would be time constraints. So depending on whether you're a fast tattoo artist, a slow tattoo artist, if you struggle with you don't really know how long pieces are going to take you, you struggle with time management when you tattoo, you might tattoo better under pressure or worse under pressure. I feel like time constraints have a big play on this as potentially being a con. For instance, if you are a slow tattoo artist and let's say the show opens at 12 or whatever, right? And then it ends at 10 p.m. Yes, that seems like a full day. Seems like you could be able to get it done, no problem. But there's a lot of things that can go wrong. For example, printing, Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff has screwed me over so many times. Like I get there, get everything set up. They say there's good Wi-Fi, there's good connection, all this stuff. I'm trying to print and there's 200 other people on the Wi-Fi trying to print images, stencils, all that stuff. Now, sometimes they have like stencil booths where you can just go with your images or whatever, and they'll like print it out, make a stencil for you, all that. But they're on the same Wi-Fi. So sometimes they have the same issues as everyone else. It can just be like a hectic circus show, bro. I've had it happen when I went to one in San Diego. That one was probably the worst one I ever experienced. Like I loved that show, but it was just pure chaos. No one could print stencils. I had to go to Staples, get a connect because I have a Wi-Fi printer. I had to get like a one that I could connect directly from there to my iPad. That still didn't work. It was just awful, bro. And it screwed me over. I had a person that I was tattooing for 3 days in a row at that show. And I had all this stuff planned out, get these huge pieces done. And I mean, like the first day, I think I didn't start until almost 5. The second day was the same thing. I showed up like 2 hours early to try and get there before people. They wouldn't let everyone in yet. It was a disaster, bro. So time constraints can play a big part. Again, even to like, let's say, you're kind of running close out of time, whether you're competing, and this is regardless if you're competing or not. Like if you're entering your pieces in competitions, like the award shows and stuff, they set a time, you start at this time, you end at this time. That goes for best of show, best of day, whatever it is, right? And let's say your client's hurting, maybe you're not getting the stencils right, running into that printer problem, running into other problems. You have people walking up, talking to you. You're trying to talk to them too while you're tattooing. Like all that stuff plays into time constraints. So if you are not good at managing time, that could be potentially an issue. And like I said, that was something that I learned early on. Going to some of these bigger shows for my first expos, especially in San Diego, like that was the first time that specific convention was in San Diego. I was like, bro, I bit off way more than I could chew. I didn't plan for all that stuff. I was coming from out of state, had a bunch of issues that happened, and I just had to adapt and roll with the punches. That's one thing that you will learn from some of these shows, though, is how to adapt, how to think on the fly, how to, something's going wrong. This is happening, that's happening. These people are talking to you. This artist is talking to you. This brand is over here trying to look at all these different things. And you're like, bro, oh my gosh, I can't even think straight right now. It's loud. People are playing music. You got circus shows going on to the right. But again, I can go down a whole lane of things that I would do different if I was running an expo, but who knows? Maybe one day that is one of my things on my bucket list to do, is to put on a full-on show, an expo. But that's big dreams and aspirations because I know there's a lot that goes into it. So as much as people talk shit about these expos and how they could be different and how A lot of them maybe are not the best. I do respect that there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of moving parts, so I get that too. All right, let's go to the third and last final pro that I have on here. Working with brands. So again, there's a lot more pros and probably a lot more cons that I could do, but I kind of just summarize them into 3 and 3 that kind of like stuck out to me the most. So working with brands is definitely a huge benefit of going to these shows, because a lot of times there is brands there. They have full booths, whether it's like one booth or they have like 3 booths connected, and some of the big brands are there. I've seen Bishop at one. I've seen different companies, like big companies that are at these things, whether they're promoting new products, whether they're letting you try new products, whether they're there to look at potentially new artists to sponsor, to network with, connect, whatever it is. There is cool opportunities there because you're able to talk to them firsthand. A lot of these big companies, like you wouldn't, unless you knew somebody in that company, or you were just really big on social media or a really well-known artist, they probably, like, you probably wouldn't get the chance to talk to them like that. Like I said, I've been to one where I got to talk to like some of these head people, and that was really cool. So if you like a specific brand and you know that they're going to be at a show, that could be a cool reason to go and to set up a booth and talk to them, have them come over to your booth. Maybe you go over to their booth, see their new products that they're rolling out, talk about, you know, networking opportunities with them, kind of just like shake hands and get in front of these people and really get your name a little bit more out there. Same thing with like some of these award shows. I have mixed emotions on like award shows in general. I think most artists do. But regardless of them, a lot of them too, like if you do win or something, they'll give you like, maybe that brand will give you a new machine or products or, you know, whatever it is. Maybe it's money, maybe it's this. There's a whole bunch of different ways that some of these shows will do them. But like I said, I mean, you could go enter your stuff into an award and you might win one of the awards and get a new machine and then get to talk to them, and then they see your work and it's like, wow, there's a bunch of new eyes on your work. It might go in, you know, on their social media or whatever it is, you know. So there's definitely some cool opportunities that could be had at some of these tattoo conventions or shows. Like I said, everyone has their own perspective on these things. I won't go too far into like my full opinion on these because it's always kind of changing, you know. At first, I was super interested in shows and conventions because for me, I love to compete. You know, I love to compete. So when I felt like it was kind of like this competition, there was an award show, you can enter, you know, people are judging your stuff, you know, you can compete against these other artists. I thought it was a super cool thing because like I said, I love to compete. But then as time went on, I did start seeing like the part where people talk about like the politics side, and some of these judges, some of them don't even tattoo. Some of them, they have a bunch of homies who are at the show. You know, it's just, you'll have artists who are like, let's say they're a traditional artist, but they're judging a color piece or like a black and gray realism piece, and it's like, okay, wait, hold on, this doesn't seem like it makes very much sense. Like, I'd much rather have, if I'm entering black and gray realism and I'm in this category, probably the judges should be black and gray realism artists, you know what I mean? Which, I don't know, but I get it. They want diverse opinions and all that kind of stuff, and that's what makes it up. But I've been to a few of them, and it's like, dude, I've seen a few people win, and I'm just like, and then I see who else is like entered and their pieces, and I'm like, bro, I can see 4 of these pieces, and everyone else can see 4 of these pieces that are way better than that one. Again, art is objective or subjective, no, objective or whatever it is. So, I mean, it is what it is, but sometimes you're like, bro, let's just use common sense here, you know? And then you find out, oh, they're friends, they work at the same shop, whatever it is. And it's just like, all right, bro. So again, as you get more and more into this industry, your thoughts and opinions start to kind of get swayed, either from other artists or from just what you see. And for me, it's like, I've been around a lot of artists who say different things. Some love it, some hate it, some have all super strong opinions about it. And I was just like, I wanted to see it for myself. And so this is after like 3 years of seeing these things, seeing the politics, seeing behind the curtain per se. And I'm like, all right, bro, I kind of get what this is. But like I said, it's kind of ironic when I hear people like complain about this, and then they'll go to an award show and still enter. And then if they lose, they'll complain about it. But if they win, then it's like, oh, well, I'm an award winning artist. So it's like, which one is it? And that's why I've kind of stayed in the middle, because I do think awards are cool. Like they're, I mean, let's just keep it real. They're just for validation, and they're just for those kind of things, like a feel good for you to post, for you to show off in your shop or studio, and for people to look at and be like, oh, wow, this dude won awards. He must be really good, or she must be really good. Like it's all kind of corny at the end of the day. But like I said, if you ask any artist if they win an award, if they're entering in an award show, if you think it's corny, why are you doing it? And that's why I'm kind of like middle of the ground. I haven't really developed a full opinion on whether I like it or whether I don't, because some of these ones, like the Golden State Expo, I mean, bro, if you win best of show, best of day there, like, bro, you're doing something, I don't care what nobody says. And that is an award that people go after. But then you have the other thing of like people who just show up with the same healed work at every single show and enter the same pieces, and then they've been doing it for 20 years, and they know all these people and the people that are throwing the shows, and it's like, oh, this dude's here, give him the award. It's great work, it's good work and everything, but it's like you're literally entering. I've seen this same person and I haven't been to that many shows. I've been to like maybe 3 or 4, or maybe 4 or maybe 5, I don't know, something like that. And I've seen the same dude at every single one, entering the same piece at every single one. Like he's done probably 4 passes over it. It's healed. He's fixed every little thing, healed it again, went over it with some opaques, healed it again, entered it. Like, it's like, all right, fam, like, I get it. It's great work. I get you, but it's a whole nother like kind of hustle with these award shows. Again, I'm kind of in between, because who's to say, like, if you do a bunch of passes on a piece and you keep making it better and better, and that's still your piece that you put a bunch of time and energy into. I mean, bro, if you win awards from that, like, cool, So I don't know. Like I said, I'm still kind of middle of the ground. I see both sides. I see the politics. I see how it's mad corny, but I also see the other side of like, I still like competition and stuff. So to me, I'm like, well, there's an area to compete in. And if you don't win, that just means get better and do better work. And I don't care about life isn't fair, bro. So I don't really buy into the whole thing of like, oh, that's not fair. Again, like I said, I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit with this, but that's all I'm saying. I'm kind of like just right in the middle on it. I see both sides. I feel both opinions. So I don't know. Anyways, I went on a crazy rant with that. All right, let's talk about the third and final con, competition. So the reason why I put competition as like a con is because I love competing, like I just said. And I think a lot of people like competition. And the reason why I put it as a con isn't because like competition is bad or you should shy away from it, but I think that there's a time and a place. Because let's say this, when you go to some of these conventions, right, you might be in a booth that's right next to a person who's really good, that does your exact same style, but he does it or she does it way better than you, right? And maybe you're just starting, maybe you're still practicing, maybe you're like still getting better and all this stuff and working on your craft. And these people are maybe like pretty established. And it's not, to me, like the best, like investment, because again, at that point, let's say you're not that great and you don't have, let's say you're paying all this out of pocket or whatever it is, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. Most people do, but let's say you're paying $1,500 for that weekend. Like I said, all in and everything with hotels or whatever it is, right? You're paying $1,500 for that weekend. and you're next to a person who anyone who comes up that maybe likes the style that both of you do, they're always going to be like 10 out of 10 times pretty much, bro. They're going to go to that person right next to you that's way better. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, what are you there for? You know, I think that it's more for like when you are semi-established, which can go both ways because it's hard, because the conventions are there for you to network and get more clientele and build your name and establish your name and everything like that. So it kind of can go both ways. It's sometimes can be like counterproductive because, like I said, if you're, and this was me, like I went to the San Diego one, I don't know, two years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, bro. I didn't have like, I mean, I was all right then, you know, but looking back on it, I don't know. It was probably, I did it more for just the experience and the opportunity than anything. But bro, there was some heavy hitters there, bro. Like especially Black and Gray, like in SoCal and Southern California, like that, bro. There was some heavy hitters there. And again, like I said, I like competition, but when I think back to it, I'm like, bro, was it really worth it to do that? You know, I don't know. But that's just something to keep in mind. So if you are thinking like, well, if I just go to a convention, I'll get a bunch of new clientele. That's not necessarily true, bro. You got to know where you're at with this stuff and kind of be like, okay, yeah, I'm above average at this. I don't care who's at this convention. It's going to be worth it for me. If there's a client or a potential client right here and they see 3 of our booths and we're all good, like they're going to still come to me though. I'm confident that I can talk to them or they'll see my work and like my work, whatever it is, then it kind of makes more sense. But if you're starting out, if you're still kind of grinding and working on your craft and just working to get better, sometimes that can happen. And that's going to be a long weekend for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you might be sandwiched in right next to 2 heavy hitters. And it's like, I don't know, bro. You know what I mean? So again, something just to keep in mind. Just my opinion. All right, now let's get into the bonus tips. So this one, I'm just going to kind of rant and ramble my thoughts together on this. But a few tips that I would say is one of them being book your clientele ahead of time or take walk-ups. Like pick which one you're going to do, know your purpose, know your rhyme or reason for going to these conventions and follow that plan. Don't go in there willy-nilly being like, well, I think a few people are going to show up and they wanted to book with me like these full day sessions. But I mean, if I get easy money and people walk up and want like small tattoos and I can do them real fast in between, then I'll do those. And you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, doing all these different things. You're going to have a nightmare at these expos, bro. You are going to have an absolute nightmare because it's going to be so hectic. If you have one thing booked, but it's only going to take half the day, then you're trying to take walk-ins the rest of the day. It's just like, bro, know which one you want to do. Either plan it out, try and book 3 people, 3 full days, or 2 people a day, 2 half days, you know what I mean? 6 appointments, or just plan to just straight take walk-ins and slang out some walk-ups every day. You know what I'm saying? Have your whatever, you know, like a trad sheet or printouts that you want to do, stencils already pre-made of things that you have at set prices, whatever it is. There's a bunch of different ways I've seen people do them. But yeah, have a rhyme or reason, have a purpose, be intentional with these things, be organized. It'll help you out. What kind of goes with that is that, like, let's say you, regardless whether you plan to take walk-ups, or like full day sessions, try to book them out, whatever it is. As soon as you know you're going to go to these shows, whether you pay or you're working with somebody that's paying your booth or whatever it is, right? As soon as you know that you're going to go, start posting. Tag the convention. Usually they'll repost your stuff and just blast it on social media. Not every day, all day, 24/7, but as soon as you know, make a post, make a nice little, usually they'll make a flyer for you, like with your pictures that you sent in or they take from your page or whatever it is. post that flyer, make a video about it. I've known some people that like run ads and stuff for that specific expo, like weeks in advance or months even in advance. Like that's how you're going to kind of build that traction. Again, posting and tagging that convention or that show that's putting it on their page. Usually they'll repost you, and then people who follow that expo page that are looking for artists and looking through the catalog of artists who are going to be there, usually they'll like see you and be like, oh, I like their work. And then they'll hit you up individually, and then they'll book that weekend or whatever it is, right? So don't just try and like be ghost and then just show up at the expo, or try and book all your own clientele just for that weekend, not telling them that you're doing an expo. You know, make that known you're doing an expo. There's a lot of people who like to be tattooed at conventions. Like I have some people who they prefer it. They like to kind of be there, that environment, everybody's chilling, there's music, there's kind of like, it's a whole event, you know? They like being entered into the awards or whatever it is, right? There's some people like that. There's some people who hate that and want nothing to do with that. Like if they wanted to book with you, but they don't want to have anything to do with that event. You know, they want to be tattooed where they're used to. So yeah, make it known, post it, all that kind of stuff. Another thing I would say that I learned from experience, even if you are in the same state, bro, I recommend this so much. If you have the ability and the funds and all that kind of stuff, stay at the hotel it's at. So like usually a lot of these expos are at some kind of venue, like a hotel or something like that, right? The ones I've been to, they're pretty much, except one was at like just like a downtown venue. But the other ones were at an actual, like in a ballroom at a hotel venue, right? Stay at that hotel. If it's at a hotel, get a room there. Usually they have some kind of like deal with the expo, and for artists, they'll kind of like cut you a better rate, different things like that, right? I highly suggest, bro, stay at the hotel. It makes for such a better experience. You get to actually enjoy the mornings, the nights, throughout the days. Like, let's say you want to go back up to the room. Let's say you're there with somebody. You have people there with you. They can kind of go up to the room, chill. You can go up there, chill. The day of, you can kind of wake up way later, get things together, just walk right down or take the elevator right down, and then you're there already. Like, I'm telling you, bro, when I didn't stay at the first like 3 or 4 expos that I was at, I went home every night and back and forth, right? Trying to like, oh, well, I don't want to spend an extra $300-$400 on a hotel or whatever it is. Bro, it made such a difference. Like I actually, cause by the second day, usually I'm like fried, bro. Like I'm overstimulated. I'm just like ready to get through it. You know what I mean? And most people are, especially when you get to like Sunday and you've been tattooing like 10 hours a day the past 2 days, talking to hella people, all that stuff. Like, bro, you are fried. When I stayed at that hotel this last time I did it, bro, made such a difference. I got to wake up like hella late, go right down there, eat breakfast. After it was done, I just got to go right up to the room. We went out that night, like to the downtown venue right next to it, like across the street. It was chill, bro. It was a vibe. I really enjoyed it, you know? And even going forward, like I'm not a huge fan of conventions really at all anymore. I've done like 3 or 4 of them. And for most people, they'll be like, bro, 3 or 4? I do 3 or 4 per month, you know? Like you haven't done none. Yeah, I get it. But for me, I just don't see too much crazy value. Like I have the ones that I really enjoy doing. And other than that, I don't really care about doing them. Now I'm starting to work with more brands and stuff that like still doing them. And that's kind of like a new thing for me, which I'm excited about. And that's why I'm kind of like, if I do them in the future, it's for that reason. And that is like a new thing of like enjoyment. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, bro, staying at the hotel, staying close to that venue, whether it's an Airbnb, whether it's whatever it is, bro, it just makes so much of a difference, you know, regardless of it, even if it's in state. Like I'm talking about in state. These are in Arizona, and I still will stay at the hotel over there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. If you have any Questions, comments, concerns, you know the drill. Drop them down below. Comment it. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have you been to conventions? Do you like conventions? Do you think about going to some conventions in the future? Are you a seasoned artist there's some artists that literally, I've met some that go on the road and they only do conventions 52 weeks out the year, which blows my mind, but that's what they do. They don't even have a home shop. They don't have nothing. They're traveling artists. And I think that's super dope too. So whatever it is, let me know. I'm curious. Beginner tattoo course. If you're a beginner tattoo artist, link will be in the description. That's available now. I'm working still on my advanced course, and then a marketing course eventually that will be available too. So yeah, working on some things, some dope little projects. Did some dope sessions this month. Got some good ones planned for the next couple of months as well. So excited about those, getting some new content out for you guys. Yeah, all that. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Keep rocking, keep doing your thing, keep grinding. I'll meet you at the top, bro.